Hi, everybody. It's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Paul from the Kaputniks. How are you, Paul?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Very good. I noticed the great guitars behind you. Uh,
Yeah.
the white one. What is the white one?
Can I do this? I've never done a Zoom call before, so here we go.
Yeah, I see it.
The white one is a Godin. That is a Godin Belmont. It's Canadian. They make them in Quebec,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, they don't make these ones anymore. I got this one maybe 8 years ago, but they stopped producing them. It's a nice guitar. It's got the lipstick pickups, so you get
Yeah,
a nice twang out of it. And it's actually not the neck broke. It got dropped. The neck snapped, and they had to replace the neck, but they'd already stopped making them, so it doesn't have the original neck on it.
yeah.
But it's a nice little guitar.
I
I
see
really
that.
like it.
I see those dudes in specifically Gary Holt from Exodus, the metal band.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
he he's really hard on his guitars, but
Okay.
he gets them. He doesn't replace the necks. He gets them like super glued, like super tough. So he plays with the broken neck
Wow.
fixed. It's
Wow.
crazy how they do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, apparently back in the day when the Who used to smash their instruments, they used to have to glue them back together because they didn't actually have enough money to replace them when they first started, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, I don't know. I guess if people can do it, but this wasn't because I was rough on it. It just got knocked out of the stand. They
yeah.
hit the ground in it. It snapped. So, just replace. They sent another one out. It seemed to be the same neck. So it's a nice guitar. I've got a
So
12 string there. Can you see it?
yeah,
That's a Fender 12.
yep.
And then that's just a Squire bass there.
Okay.
And then right here that's a Gretsch.
Oh yeah,
So that's a nice guitar.
yeah.
It's
It's
just an
pretty.
electromatic. I've replaced the pickups in it with some T Armins from TV Jones. That gets some nice twang out of it too.
Very cool.
And then
Uh oh
there's
yeah.
my amp.
Well,
It's
well,
a
what?
just sorry, what's that?
No, I'm just curious as to what that is. You were going to say it.
That's that's a that's a deluxe reverb.
Very cool. I
Yeah,
have
it's a nice amp.
you can't see mine from this angle, but I got a 212.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
That's
Fender,
nice.
yeah, the Fender
I've
combos.
actually got some more. I got some more over there too. A couple
Oh,
of
nice.
half built Stratocaster and a Telecat. I've been building them, but they're not built.
Oh,
So
you build guitars as well?
I don't know. That I got halfway through it and got bored with it, to be honest. So they haven't been put together. They've been sitting there for months. I'd rather come and play them than
Yeah,
build them. Right.
yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not really tech savvy when it comes to guitars, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
love playing
Me neither.
guitars. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um so um what are the I see you have a bass over there. Do you play a lot of
Yeah.
the instruments or write a lot of the bass parts and guitar parts?
I do. Yeah. I write a lot of I write everything really. Um, and I demo everything and then send it to the band, send it to the guys in the band. And then we go from there. And I mean, sometimes they say, sometimes we never played as a band because they don't think it's good enough. But most of the time then we start playing it and the song might change a little bit, or Jeremy will change the bass part, or he'll play it as is, but he'll play it a lot better than I can. I'm a scratch bass player. He's very, very good. So, he'll add fills and all that kind of stuff. And, sometimes even when I demo it, it's just basic root notes, right? Just to show the changes. But I use that to record demos.
Yeah.
They're complete. I don't show them to the guys until they originate with me, and I don't show them until they're, beginning to end complete, and then they might change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting because I listened to you had two EPs and a full length that I listened to.
Okay, yeah.
The one with Sputnik on it.
Oh, that's the first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So
our first.
I really,
Yeah.
yeah, I liked it a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But I did notice the bass lines were not, your run of the mill. They were complex.
Well, that's Jeremy. I mean, he's a really good player. He can move around the fretboard really well. The songs often start, for me, they often start with the bass, right? Like they'll just start playing something in A. It's a joke in the band. It's almost always an A minor, but I'll start playing something in A minor or whatever, and then I'll write the guitar part over that. So, but then when it gets into his hands, he adds a lot to it, and he's able to play it in a let's say a busier fashion, not too busy.
Yeah.
And he's able to add to it and play it well, whereas I play it a very rudimentary way. But that's nice of you to say. I mean, we're only a 3-piece, so it's a huge part of the sound, right?
Yeah, so it takes up a lot of space.
Guitar, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, takes up a ton of space. Exactly. Yeah.
Which is good when you're a 3-piece.
It's very important. Yeah, you can't have any passengers in a 3-piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your releases. So
okay,
maybe you have the 2 EPs, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
And then you have your self-titled.
That's the one with Sputnik on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you release the first one, and then how did you get hooked up with
So we had okay, so the first one came out, we did that ourselves. So we recorded it locally here, live off the floor in a day, and
that's awesome.
Then released it just ourselves. Well, cheaper that way, right?
But it also sounds better too, I think.
If it can, it can. I mean, we don't do it that way anymore, but and I think they sound better now, but it definitely has its own sound, doesn't it? I mean, when the band's live off, if you can do it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we self-released that. We just released that ourselves, and then we did 2 EPs, and we self-released those. And then I was just looking at Josh's the Altered State of Reverb. I was looking at the website, and I saw he was like, I don't remember what it said, looking for bands or whatever. And I just thought, I'm going to contact this guy. And he got back to me, and he just said, I really like what you're doing, and I'd love to release your next thing, because we had another full length that was about to come out last year, and I think we'd recorded it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll see if this guy's interested, and he was, and he's super enthusiastic. That's you've talked to Josh, right?
Yeah.
He's very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And that was great. It was really good. So and it was also good because he did the artwork. I didn't have to do that anymore, which was helpful, because I'm not very good at it. So I was doing it myself before, right? So, and that's how we got hooked up with him. And then we've done that full length and 2 more EPs with him.
That's a lot of music in the last couple of years.
It is a lot of music. Yeah, we're on 6 releases in just over 2 years, 2.5 years. So
that's pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, it's quantity over quality, I guess. Right?
No,
quantity is
job
one.
No, but I mean, if you have an idea, maybe you could look at it from, you don't want to waste an idea. Maybe somebody else will appreciate,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I like writing songs a lot, so I'm doing it all the time. I mean, I love coming down here and just coming up with ideas. Right.
Yeah.
And, so why not? And, it's fun to do, and we have a good situation now with an old friend of mine from an old band where we in Toronto. So we'll go up there and record, and he does it for me for dirt cheap. And so recording's not really a problem for us.
Awesome.
Right. Yeah. So when you have that situation, it's easy to, if you're writing them, you might as well record them and put them out. Right.
Yeah.
So easy to
absolutely.
do nowadays. Yeah.
So
we have more coming out.
Oh, awesome. You have something new coming out?
Yeah, we have something coming out beginning in June.
Oh, that's excellent.
So a single, yeah.
Is it as aggressive and raw as the other stuff?
No, it's not. It's not as aggressive and raw. It is, well, I don't know. I guess maybe it is. They're covers though. We got a couple of covers we're putting out.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I don't know. Did you find the other stuff aggressive?
Maybe high energy would be the more appropriate word.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's yeah. I mean, we come from I think a lot of the people you seem to interview, we come from a punk rock background, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've only ever played in punk bands until I started doing this.
Yeah.
And so that's just purpose. The way
that just seems to be how it goes.
Yeah. I don't know. This is like, it's like surf rock's like a retirement plan for punk rockers or something, right? I don't know. It's, and it's fun. It stretches you out musically a little bit, right? Like other than just hammering chords, right? You kind of have to, you got to stretch yourself out a bit and explore your instrument a little more.
Yeah. And
if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think surf music kind of transcends all genres because people come from all sorts of backgrounds and they wind up playing surf with their influence from their past bands and
yeah, for sure.
I think it may be like a growing experience. Like some people are off to the races like right away, but other people grow to appreciate it.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and when I played in bands years ago, there was a lot of surf. Well, I played in punk bands, but there was a lot of surf nods to bands.
Okay, yeah.
I think that might have come from either the Descendants or just my love of surf music. And the drummers love of surf music. So so it's just I think that's just the nature of the game. Like people that were into punk rock are just naturally attracted to that.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, we have some kind of down tempo stuff too. Like we have a couple of, like on the last EP or the one before, there's like a jazzy song on there, right?
Yeah.
So that's fun to do too, but you tend to want to just play a little faster, right? I don't know, things always speed up once you start playing them as a band. Yeah. And it's fun to do. It's fun to do both, right? And you can do both. Like I think with, when you're playing in punk rock bands, you're not doing any slow songs.
Yeah.
At least not when I did it. And with this, you can work some country music into it. You can work some jazz into it, right? You can, anything like that, right? Anything that fits, which is a lot of different kinds of music.
Yeah.
Right.
What's funny is I heard a steel guitar on the new Boss Tones album.
Really?
Yes, I was totally. They had like a country ska kind of thing going on with this. It's
wow,
very interesting.
That is interesting. Well,
yeah.
I mean, Bad Religion used a steel guitar once, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I suppose anybody can. I'm more surprised there's a new Boss Tones album, to be honest.
I
didn't even know they were still going.
Yeah, I thought they were gone for good for a while.
Yeah. Interesting.
What an interesting point you made about that one song, the jazz influence. How is that something that you studied or worked on or listened to?
No.
But it came out
honestly.
Really good.
Oh, thank you. It's Honestly, it's just I mean, I like jazz, but I can't play it properly. But it was just more of like for me, it's like sometimes when I'm writing a song, I think you know, oh, I'm going to write a slower song, or that's kind of how I approach it sometimes, right? If you know what I mean. And I think, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to try to do a quieter one for this, write a song that's quieter. And then I think, well, and I just came up with that started with the bass line. And then I thought, I'm going to try to play something jazzy on the bass. And then that happened. And then I was able to, I record it and start, okay, what am I going to put over it with the guitar, right? And it worked out. Honestly, it's also like our biggest influence is Shadowy Man on a Shadowy Planet,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So and they have lots of like jazzy
Yep.
little songs too.
Yep.
So that's really I think, well, okay, they kind of go in different directions. And so I think, well, I just kind of copy that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it comes out jazzy, right?
Yep.
And also, sometimes what I do, I cheat. I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up jazz drums, right? And I'll start playing along with somebody playing jazz on the drums. I find that's a
Oh,
great way to
nice.
unlock a song.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's a really good way of doing it. Look up or country shuffle or something,
Yeah.
and then I start playing along with that, and something will happen, right?
Yeah. Do you find
I find it's just a way to unlock something.
that's
Sorry,
very
go ahead.
no, that was very interesting what you said right there. Um,
Mm.
I found it very difficult to write any other way than what was in my head at the time.
Right.
What I found interesting about what you said is um, the concentration and focus it must take to write a particular song that you want to write right at that moment.
Oh, yeah, I guess I never thought of it that way, but I don't know if it takes concentration. It just like sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I might say, oh, I'm going to come up with something jazzy on the bass, and I might not come up with anything, or it might be, I might come up with something really crappy, or I might, you know, I, this often happens where I come up with something and I listen to it the next day and I'm like, well, that's not very good,
Yeah.
right? Or I come up with something I think is really good, and I'll usually, I'll send it to Jeremy, let's say, and he'll say, I think you wrote this one before, right? Or something like that, which is, I mean, it's useful feedback, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes me a second to get over it, but then I realize, okay, he's right. I think I'm repeating myself here. Not literally. I mean, I haven't plagiarized myself, but it sounds like something else.
Yeah.
It has the same vibe as something we've already done, and so toss it out and try again, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Uh,
I find for me, I love writing songs. Like if I hear a song that stops and starts, like, for example, or a song that has no drums on like our last one, we had a song with no drums on the verses. And that was me just thinking, I'm going to try to write one with no drums on the verses. Right. And it ended up having a Russian sound to it.
yeah.
Right. And then I'm going to do an outro in 3/4 time on this one, right? I'm going to go from 4/4 time to 3/4 time. And, that's, it's always just me thinking, I'm going to try this and then trying it. And it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. Right.
That's very cool. So what for those who don't actually play, recording without drums is difficult to stay in time
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
and then have the drums come on. How do you work that out in the studio?
Well, in the studio. Oh, I see. Click track. In that case. Yeah, click track. Not always, like we don't always use one, but uh, in that case, yeah, definitely a click track. And then that song specifically, that's the first song on the last EP we put out, Heroes and Saboteurs, and it switches into 3/4 time for the outro. So the click track had a switch too. It was a little tricky. I played the drums on that one actually,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was a little tricky.
Yeah, that was
I don't
totally
know if
what I
you've
was
heard that
thinking.
song.
No, I haven't heard
Okay.
that one,
No.
but
And the
I
outro is basically a complete rip off of a Beatles song off of Abbey Road,
oh,
but different notes. So probably legally fine. But um, it's but yeah, the click track switches very quickly. It was a little tricky, but you know, nowadays you can kind of you can do almost anything nowadays
it's
with technology and stuff.
right. It, I'm sure live it would be much easier because you have eye contact and body language to
Yes.
translate that.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. That song has two guitar parts though, and we only have one guitar, me. So I
Yeah,
don't know if it'll ever see the light of day live.
I've heard some people say when they do record two guitar tracks, when they go and play them live, if there's only one guitar player, they have to modify their way of playing to incorporate both of the guitar parts. Do
Yeah.
you do that as well?
Better guitarist than me, probably. Yeah. No, most of our songs, they don't have two guitars. It's only with the last two EPs where I kind of start layering on other parts. So that hasn't been an issue for us when we've been playing, because really everything prior to that it's almost all just one guitar. And if there's a second guitar, it's not something you'd miss necessarily.
I heard a couple of cool effects that I haven't heard on some of the newer bands that you were using. It was more like a flanger. I don't want to say it is a flanger because I couldn't recognize it.
Oh, I don't think it might have been the tremolo, maybe
Yeah.
or the vibrato or whatever. I always get those two mixed up, right?
Yeah.
It might have been the vibrato pedal.
Yeah, it sounded like
tremolo pedal.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. That's probably what it is. Yeah, that's probably what you're hearing. This is a nice thing. If I've ever said, I remember saying once, should I kicking this on and saying, should we put this on a song? And Jeremy said, bass player, he said, the answer to that question is always yes.
Yeah, it did.
Right, because it always sounds good. You kick that thing on and it gives it
Yeah.
a pretty groovy sound.
And what was cool is when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, there's something I haven't heard before. So I totally get when you say you're trying to do different things, you're coming up with different ideas. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you're talking about, maybe there's another effect that you were hearing that I can't remember using, but it's hard to say.
And I also noticed the way you use the whammy bar is a little bit more of a stronger dive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just in my opinion, but it has a unique sound. I really liked it.
That's again okay. Yeah, thank you.
See, maybe you're. I want to phrase that in a good way to make sure that.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I noticed it was prominent on some of the songs, and I have an appreciation for that, especially in surf music, but in all types of music when people utilize that. You kind of had your own sound when it comes to the tremolo.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. That's very nice. I think that's mostly me just aping Shadowy Man, I think, right? Like anytime there's a note rings out for more than half a second, I go to I like Bigsby best, those tremolo arms, but that's what I do. I mean, any opportunity to, dive down with that thing or give it, work a note, I take it, any opportunity. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I tried to get in contact with Shadowy Man, and we did talk for a little bit, but I haven't interviewed them yet. But
are you going to?
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Okay.
I haven't heard from them in a while. But I was a big fan, and it all happened because of Kids in the Hall.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite shows growing up.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canadian, like me.
Yeah. It was
I mean, we love that show up here. I don't know how popular it was in America, but it was for people my age, and I was in high school when that show was on.
yeah, me too.
It was a big deal, right? And I could tell you actually, it's kind of a funny story. When I first heard Shadowy Men, it was a guy who had his locker next to me at school said, I think the first episode had just aired maybe because he said, that music is like a band, right? Like it's a real band. And I didn't realize that, like all the music on the show.
Yeah,
And he came in, it was even before their first album had come out. It was just all singles that they put out at that point. And he came in, his sister had them all. His older sister had them all. So he made a copy of it on cassette for me and brought it in, and I listened to it, and it was just the greatest thing I'd ever heard. I'd never heard anything like it before. And, I mean, I loved them for years. And then it was when I started this band, I was actually thinking about doing a cover band of their stuff. And then I was just, I was playing along with the records, and I was just like, I think I can figure out how to write these myself. Right. And we just went from there. But we do not hide our allegiance to their sound,
yeah,
and that's our blueprint 100%. So
yeah, they're great. They're great. It's a great influence to have.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I never listened to the early like 60s surf. I mean, I knew some of those songs, but I never really listened to them. Other than maybe Dwayne Eddy, but a lot of the bands you talk to, they're really into that stuff. It was not on the radar for me at all, really. I knew who the Shadows and the Ventures were, but so I've listened to it a little more now. But I tend to like kind of that. I don't know if it's called a second wave or whatever, like the '90s stuff.
Yeah,
That's really that's the instrumental stuff that I know, right? Shadowy Men, Huevos Rancheros, Los Straight Jackets.
yeah,
So that's the stuff I know. The earlier stuff I'm not as familiar with.
yeah. I grew up listening to it only because my uncles were in the bands, so that was where
Oh, okay, yeah,
where I first heard it.
okay.
They were both guitar players, my uncles, and they had like
Okay, that's cool.
a dueling guitar. Well, like one was rhythm.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
One played what I want to say it is Maserite. Yeah, he played a Maserite,
Okay, yeah.
and my other uncle always played Strats. So there was always that kind of balance there.
Yeah. That's
so
cool.
And then I kind of got into the punk rock thing, but in the '90s, after Pulp Fiction came out, there were so many good bands, to listen.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, there were. Yeah.
So,
that made a difference.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then I think Tarantino has a kind of love for that, because then he had the 5, 6, 7, 8s in Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I think do you think he consciously did that, like to help bring eyes and ears to the genre, or is that was just something he liked? Do you think?
Well, I think he liked it because of spaghetti westerns, right? I think he really
Yeah.
liked spaghetti westerns from the '60s. And
Yeah.
I read a quote from him once where he said, "I don't know why it's that music's associated with surf music. I always think of it as spaghetti western music with a beat."
Yeah.
Right. So that makes me think that's why he loves that music so much, because it sounds like that Ennio Morricone stuff from the '60s. Right.
Okay.
So, and then, like that opening title sequence to Pulp Fiction, I mean, it's so effective when that song comes, when Mr. Lou comes in.
Yeah.
Like, I think it introduced a lot of people to that sound, right?
Yeah.
Because it was really quite jolting.
Yeah. And I think that did a lot for Dick Dale because he had really successful,
For sure. Yeah, he
successful
probably,
career in
I
comedy.
imagine he probably made more money after that movie came out than he ever did before.
Yeah.
You
And,
know,
and
that I'm sure it
yeah,
was very helpful for him.
yeah, and rightly so because he's the king of surf guitar, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for sure.
I wanna put people in touch with you regarding
Okay.
music. How can people get your music? Their physical copies, digital copies.
There are some physical, yeah, sorry. So they can go to our Bandcamp page, right? Or which, you know, I don't think there's anything up there now, but I think Jeremy said he's going to take that over because I'm so bad at it. And they can go to Altered State of Reverb, the website. He's got CDs of our last full length. And then, you know, we're streaming everywhere. So, you know, they can dial us up on their streaming platform of choice. And then we do have a single coming out at the beginning of June that there's going to be 7 inches of.
Oh,
But
sweet.
yeah, so that'll be on our Bandcamp as well.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Paul. I had a great time talking to you, and I really
Thank you, Ryan. I mean, I can't believe I filled up this much time
and
yakking away, but
I told you it would be fine.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, no, these I really like your podcast. I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of them. And it's nice to listen to, and it's great to listen to a lot of people with a lot of similar experience. You know, more successful bands or similar bands, so that you know, a lot of what I hear them talking about really resonates with what we're doing. You know,
Yeah,
so a lot of common experience.
yeah,
Because
and the people are they're always super cool. Everybody has the same vibe about them, so I totally get where everybody's coming from, and I think it's just a great scene.
yeah, for sure. Great.
But thank you for your support, and thank you for coming on the show.
Hey,
And
thanks for having me on.
yeah, no problem. You have a great night, and
You too.
thanks for being up so late with me.
Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock. It's past my bedtime.
Mine too.
All right.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.